guys, Haz here at Shield K9, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about something that I haven't seen a lot of trainers talk about. We are going to talk about rewards. Now I know you're saying, what are you talking about? Haz, a lot of trainers talk about rewards. Not like this. I've seen trainers kind of practice it without thinking about it and use it in their daily training with the dogs, but I've never seen anyone really break it down and talk about it properly. So I'm going to do that today for you guys. For me, rewarding a dog isn't myopic. And I think a lot of people view it very myopically. If they're training with food, then for them the reward is the food. If they're training with a ball, then for them the reward is, yeah, here's your ball. You did a good job. Here's your paycheck. Here's your ball. Done. All right? If you're training with praise, then again, the reward is, good boy. All right, I said it. We're done. Right? It's very myopic. It's very one-dimensional. But rewards can be so much more than that. Everything about how you reward your dog is important. And if you make it just about the thing that you're giving your dog, then that's how you're going to get to that place that we call bribery. All right? Well, he's only working for the hot dogs. Well, he's only working for the hot dogs because you only made it about the hot dogs. He's only working for the ball because for him, that's all that it's about. It's not about you and him. It's not about the interaction between you, him, and the ball. It's just about the ball, right? Praise is a little bit different because, of course, inherently it comes from you. But still, I see so many people just one dimension, good boy, you know, and the words, as if the words really have meaning to the dog. And that's it, right? The way that you do everything in the context of rewarding your dog has an enormous impact on your dog's performance. I'm not talking just about making your dog happy. I'm talking about actually making the training faster, actually making the training clear to the dog. The location of the reward is important. Am I giving the food from the left hand? Am I allowing him to eat high, or am I feeding him low? Am I feeding him in the position or out of the position? All these things matter, and I don't see people paying enough attention to these things. So let's talk a little bit about the different ways in which you would reward a dog and the circumstances that would impact the reward delivery. All right, so to make it kind of easy as you can make a topic like this, which is of course enormously complex, I have broken it down into two types of reward: static reward and dynamic reward. For me, static reward is a reward that you give the dog in behavior, in position. So for instance, if I'm training a sit and my dog assumes the sit, I reward him in the sit. The food comes to him, the ball comes to him, whatever it is. He gets the reward in the sit. Whether he breaks the sit after the reward or not, it doesn't matter. The reward comes to him in position. It's a static reward. Right? Even the praise. Good boy. He's in the sit. All right? Then there's dynamic rewards. For me, dynamic reward is a reward that the dog has to go to get. Okay? So let's use the sit again. I tell him to sit, I mark, and I actually create the food delivery out of the sit. So he has to leave the sit in order to get his reward. Right? I tell him down, he downs, and I throw his ball away, and he has to actually get up and go get the ball. So again, very dynamic. Even praise. Praise is a big one. I don't see a lot of people do this. I tell the dog down, he downs, and I say break, and I play with him and praise him, right? Good boy, right? And I make the act of breaking, right, an actual reward, and playing with me the reward. I don't just make it a one-dimensional good boy and we're done. All right? So dynamic rewards and static rewards both have their place in the training program. And it depends on the kind of dog that you're dealing with and what specifically you're trying to do. So I'll give you an example. If I have a dog who's really high energy, okay? Really high energy, high strung, excitable dog, has a lot of trouble settling down, and I'm trying to get him to hold position for like a half a second, okay? Like he's like, I'm teaching him a down and he can barely like sit still because he's just so crazy all the time. And it's really hard for him to conceptualize even what I'm trying to get across because he's just so amped up. I'm going to give him a lot of rewards in that down. It's static rewards. And he's going to learn that the paycheck comes to him if he's in that position. The paycheck keeps coming. So it helps to stabilize the position. If I have a dog who breaks positions a lot, so I have a dog who's constantly like a jack-in-the-box on the down. He's always popping out at the down every, second. Well, guess what? He's going to get a lot of paychecks in that down to create stability in that position. I'll just wait here. The paycheck's going to come to me. I don't need to get up. All right? Now, there are a lot of dogs, especially pet dogs, like I'm not talking about performance dogs, but pet dogs that maybe don't have a lot of drive, they're maybe a little bit fearful, maybe a little bit worried about some things. This is where I'm going to start to use dynamic rewards, okay? Or even a performance bred dog. Every dog is susceptible to pressure. So let's say I'm using some pressure to create behavior or to fix a problem or whatever it is. I'm using pressure, e-collar, leash, whatever. And I see the dog starting to get a little bit down. Well, I might move from a static to a dynamic reward where instead of rewarding the dog in the sit, I'm actually stepping away and rewarding the dog out of the sit, maybe even getting them to chase the food a little bit, okay? So static rewards are great for building positions and strengthening them. If the dog really is struggling with the concept of what a position is and how to stay there, even for like a very brief period of time, that's where I'm going to do a lot of static rewards to really emphasize in the dog, this thing that you're doing is what's getting you the reward. Versus if I have a dog who's really a little bit slow, a little bit dopey, maybe they're a little bit down, maybe they're very sensitive and they're having difficulty a little bit with the pressure, and I'm not seeing the emotion in the dog that I want to see, I'm going to go more to the dynamic rewards, where a lot of the time the dog has to break the position that I've put the dog in to get the reward, right? And of course, you're going to use marker words to make it clear for the dog why they're getting the reward, but the actual delivery of the reward isn't always going to be in position, okay? So the mark allows the dog to identify the specific instance. So let's say this is a chain of behavior, okay? Each one of these dashes represents something your dog is doing, okay? And you want to make a dynamic reward. So you're kind of playing with the dog, maybe you're using a leash, maybe you're using some food, whatever, and the dog hits the correct behavior, okay? You get him there briefly, he hits the behavior. You mark right there, okay? And the dog comes out of the position to get that reward, okay? And he still identifies that specific instant, that thing he was doing when he heard the mark, right, the red X, is what yielded the reward, but the reward delivery can actually be out of X, if you guys understand that, okay? Now, for the static reward, all right, let's say, I'm gonna use another kind of little bit of a diagram to help you guys understand. Let's say that is a behavior chain. I'll just get rid of this thing here that I just did, okay? Let's just say that, all those crazy dashes and dots and, you know, stuff, this is all different behaviors that the dog is offering, okay? And, or I'm trying to get him into the position, he's constantly bumping out of the position, he's doing constantly the wrong thing. The instant that he hits the right position, I'm gonna say to him, let's say there, okay? I'm gonna say that right there, and then I'm going to give the reward constantly to him there. Constantly to him there. And I'm going to create stability there in that position. And now he's got a lot of reinforcement happening at that moment in his behavior chain. And now I'm creating more understanding and stability in the dog. All right? Dogs, everybody, we tend to view behavior unidimensionally. But if you really think about everything your dog does a lot of different things. They wag their tail, they spin in a circle, they jump up on you, you know, maybe he lies down for a second, maybe he sits for a second, maybe he sits but he's kind of, you know, looking over there. There's 100 different things that your dog is doing, you know, in a given minute. I call it behavior patterns, all right? And sometimes they follow a specific pattern, especially under certain circumstances. So when I'm training, whether I'm being dynamic or static in my reward delivery depends completely on the dog, okay? So I'm gonna demonstrate with a real live dog, and you're gonna see all through my training videos that we're posting different examples of both dynamic and static reward. Okay guys, so I'm gonna use Fenrir here, a young German Shepherd, to kind of describe what it is that I'm doing through action, all right? So Fenrir doesn't know very much. All right, so I'm going to show you guys. He's a little bit, you can see he's a little bit of a excited guy, you know, higher energy, has good food drive, right? So what I'm going to do with him is I'm going to start first with the static reward. So I'm going to, does he know how to down? Yeah? Okay, all right. So I'm going to start with the down, all right? So we're going to make the down. Oh yeah, very nice. Okay. And you can see there that the reward delivery came into position. Break. Okay. Now we'll do it again. Actually, we'll do a heel entry. Push. Okay. Break. All right. And you can see for him, he's a pretty excitable kind of guy. So I'm probably going to do more static rewards to build up the concept of position in this dog's mind. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about dynamic rewards. So let's say, hey, sit. And you can see I still mark the instance that he's correct, but the reward delivery comes at a distance. But, right? And you can see he likes that. He's hammering my hand, all right? And for those of you that are worried about that, I prefer, yeah, he's active, right? Push. So he still hears the mark when he's doing the right thing, but the reward delivery comes out of position. Sit. Wow, right? And it's really fun for the dog, obviously. And, you know, it definitely brings the energy up. But like I said earlier, if you're trying to work on settling him down a little bit, you might want to do more static stuff. I'm going to demonstrate now with praise. Flex. Good. Good boy. Break. All right. So that was an example of static praise. I'm praising him in the position. See? Good. Break. Good job, Mike. All right. And again, the praise is really coming into position. Okay. Now, let's talk about dynamic praise. All right. Flex. Break. Yeah, man. Great job. Flex. Flex. Good. Break. Yeah. And you can see that the reward is actually outside the behavior. Sit. Break. Woo. And for me, I don't just praise. I play. I make physical contact with the dog. I pinch him a little bit. I get him excited. I get him happy. Yes, they sometimes get nippy. That's how dogs play. If you want to play with your dog, you need to play like a dog to some degree. Of course, there's a line, right? I don't let them put holes in me. So, this is an example of dynamic and static rewards with the young dog. Again, he doesn't know me, right? But you can see real quick, I'm speaking his language. He likes what I'm doing, and he's down to continue doing it. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to demonstrate toy rewards with another dog. This one I don't think has an out yet. So we're going to do some toy rewards, static and dynamic, with a dog that has an out, and you guys are going to see in that example how we do dynamic and static rewards there. Hey guys, so I'm going to demonstrate static and dynamic rewards with Dizzy. I've got the ball here. I also have her on an e-collar. I know before the other dog was on a leash. The method of negative reinforcement or control that you're using on the dog doesn't particularly matter. For the sake of this conversation, we're just talking about static and dynamic rewards. They can exist in any context, e-collar, leash, no anything on the dog. It doesn't particularly matter. Like I said before, there's a place for both types of reward. So right now she's in a down. If I wanted to make a static reward, I would bring the ball to the dog in the position. Now obviously, the ball, or something, a tug, whatever, it's a very naturally dynamic object, right? It's like, it involves a lot of interaction, a lot of movement. When I say static and dynamic, obviously I'm going to be less static with a toy than I will be with food, right? Out, down, I just mean that the delivery is pretty much at the dog, right? Whether I'm throwing it at the dog, or whether I'm bringing the ball to the dog, the delivery is important. Okay, so outs. Now, if I want it to be dynamic, all right, those were some static rewards. See? And now the dog is coming. She's being more dynamic. Outs. When I'm doing motions, especially in the beginning, right? When I'm doing motion exercises with the dog. Seats. I'll do a lot of static rewards where I basically throw the ball or bring the ball to the dog. Out. Good. Seats. Good. Aha. Right? And that really kind of cements for the dog the act of hitting the position and becoming stable in the position. Out. Right? And if I want to bring the dog up a little bit, yeah, spin. We're going to make more dynamic rewards. Wow. Yes. Yes. Out. Good. Plots. Good. All right? So you guys get the idea. Don't be robotic. That's the end of the day, you know? How, when, and where, and what dog to do dynamic and static. Look, don't get too obsessed with that. As your abilities grow as a trainer, you're going to learn that the one rule of dog training is there is no one rule of dog training, right? There's 100 different scenarios. There's different methods to the same result, right? The most important thing to understand, is that, down. You don't want to be dynamic. You don't want to be robotic with your dog. You want to keep things interesting, and you want to do things to keep the dog balanced in his or her emotion. Depending on the training you're doing, I guarantee, I can't think of any training where I want the dog to be super closed in and to have a really kind of slow and passive, very reactive kind of behavior. I want an active, happy, willing participant in all the things that we're doing, even when sometimes the things that we're doing are a little bit hard.